Hello, everybody. How are we doing today on this lovely, lovely, lovely day? Today I wanted to talk about relationships. Ooh, hello. It is mad that I moved. Hello. It's mad that I did my own thing. Like the people I'm gonna be talking about today. I'm kind of kidding, but I'm not. So, today I wanted to talk about relationships and toxic relationships are connections with other people and how they could potentially be holding us back or holding us stuck, and we don't even really know it. I felt really deeply to make this, and I feel like it's something I've been really working through, like in a very different way. So yeah, let's talk about it. So first I want to start with like the idea of toxic relationships, that they are first I want to start with the idea and concept that relationships equal happiness, and that relationships, accepting the relationships we have just because they are the ones that are in our vicinity. So we, start our lives and have relationships with people, and we can kind of like notice these reoccurring patterns within them that may not be like good for us. Like we may notice that we get into relationships with people maybe who take advantage of us, or like we take advantage of them, right? Or like there's just these sort of like underlying like patterns, like negative patterns that just keep happening. Maybe you get relationships with people where it's like a distraction from like your daily life. You connect on a certain pain together and get lost in that pain over and over and over. These are what a lot of people would refer to as toxic relationships, or if you're spiritual, like karmic relationships, karmic connections, where you're getting like something good from the relationship, maybe even multiple things, a lot of things, and you might even care very deeply about these people, and they might care very deeply about you or not. It really depends on what your pattern is, whether they're not surface level relationships or deeper relationships, right? But there's something there that like isn't working, doesn't feel right, is this pattern that you may be noticing. So those people I'm talking to in this video, you probably feel it in that moment too, like this sort of like, especially when that pattern comes up, there's probably some sort of like, ooh, I don't feel very good. Ooh, I don't like this. It's because it's bringing you away from yourself and what you actually really do want in relationships. We'll get there. I'm jumping ahead. I think when it comes to like relationships, we can kind of get stuck in like, oh, this is just my life and this is what it is. I'll use myself as an example. I feel like when I was in college and like, really just entering the world for the first time, I made connections with a lot of different types of people, and I made connections with like, many different friend groups, right? Like I was kind of like bouncing over from here to there, like, friends and acquaintances, with a lot of different people. And in some of these connections, I feel like I had a lot of fun. That was like a big thing. I had a lot of fun, and I have a big heart, so I care about people a lot. Way more than, I think that those people kind of deserved. Because I don't necessarily think a lot of those people didn't care about me. I just don't think that they were able to show love in the way that I needed, and I don't think they were able to, that you could say their demons were like controlling them, right? Like their negative patterns were continuously going, and they were not able to and not willing to work on their patterns. And me being me and the way that I am, I like accepted it and was like, it's fine. When it wasn't fine, it wasn't good. But we can really get stuck in this like we can really get stuck in this, like, these people are helping me. I'm getting connection from this person, and therefore they can treat me however they want to treat me, right? We can get stuck in the, this is what I deserve. This is, you know, this is just human connection, right? People act the way they act, and they have their own trauma, they have their own stuff going on, and how they treat me is how they treat me. This is how I have happiness. I gain happiness, right? This is, you know, my, say, happily ever after, right? And this is especially like when people get married and there's like that toxic marriage, but you're like, this is my person, like, it is what it is. We accept each other, flaws and all, but there's this sort of still that like icky feeling in your stomach. There's still that like, oh, this person doesn't make me feel good. I don't feel like this person brings out the parts of me that I feel like are best. This person doesn't make me feel the way I want to feel. This person doesn't make me love the way I want to love and come in friendship the way I come in friendship. Like, I feel like the way that I connected with people a lot before, you know, I had a very long period of just being by myself and really like working on myself and what I wanted in relationships. I feel like I connected with people in a lot about fun. I connected with people a lot about like partying, and I didn't really know the difference between like what are your party friends versus like acquaintances versus like close friends. I kind of like just kind of put them all together because I just love people so much, right? I just have a really big heart, and I love that about myself, and it's also gotten me in a lot of trouble. But like with controlling people, it's like, it's sort of a, oh my gosh, if you have an attachment style that is like anxious, getting the controlling person to acknowledge you, acknowledge your wants and needs is like heaven. It's like ecstasy, honestly. This toxic pattern of like, you know, they ignore you and then tell you what to do and tell you to not be your true self, and then they also let you like have a little bit of yourself over time, right? Like there are times where they give you what you want, breadcrumb, right? They give you moments, right? There are certain lines that controlling people usually know not to cross because they know that means you'll be out. And yet when we're in these relationships, right, it can feel like there is no way out. There is nothing else we can do, right? This person may be the source of pain, but they're also the source of happiness, sex, love, laughter in certain times, right? And so it feels like we have to stay with these people for so many reasons. And I think that, you know, there are a lot of times where I feel like I stayed with people because I thought that, one, I thought that's what I deserved. I thought I deserved to feel shitty, in some sort of way because of these people. I thought that I deserved abuse. And that's very deep down. I don't even really think, I couldn't really even admit that to myself until like this week, if I'm being completely honest. I couldn't really admit that until recently, because I guess I was trying to really like build myself and be like, I do deserve better, and I know that I do deserve better. I deserve to be treated exactly the way that I want to be treated, and people who don't treat me like that, goodbye. I'm gonna say bye bye bye. But I wasn't always like that. I feel like I would say stuff like that, but then I wasn't actually like showing up that way. I would get lost in these patterns of, you know, people controlling me, telling me how to feel, constantly like pushing against my authenticity, the way that I showed up, the way that I presented or wanted to feel. It was like I couldn't accept my reality for what it was, and I needed someone else to tell me what my reality really was. It didn't feel like my own self was enough. It didn't feel like my own perception of reality was enough. And so you kind of let these people control you. You let these people dictate your life. instead of listening to that inner knowing of like, there's something else for me, right? I feel like I knew so deep down that there was something else for me. There was something else that, you know, other types of relationships I'm supposed to have, other types of connections, other experiences, other ways of engaging with life, and places I'm supposed to travel, and opportunities I'm supposed to just take. Yeah, a part of me just kind of felt that deep down. But again, it's like this cycle of like, I feel that, you know, I say I push, you know, stand my ground, and maybe I tell this person I do, and then, you know, they're like, okay, I hear you, and then like they go back to their same behavior eventually. And it's this, you know, the same cycle of them really projecting, them mirroring what I really feel about myself inside. And I'm sure for whatever reason, that person needs to feel like they're in control for some reason, or they need to feel like they, you know, they, whether or not they just get off on it, or it's like some sort of deeper emotional, like, the need that they have to like be controlling or do something specific with me. It doesn't really matter. I feel like what really matters is how it affects me or the person who is, dealing with that, those people I'm talking to. It's like, I don't know, there's something addicting about that cycle because it feels predictable. It mirrors the trauma cycle in a lot of ways. And yet my intuition, something in me knew there was something else for me. Because, and now I kind of want to talk about now kind of how it feels, because I feel like the way I have relationships now is like so very different. It is filled with lots of joy and love, and I'm just in really weird relationships, guys. I'm sorry. I'm like getting a little flustered even talking about it. Because I waited a really long time for people in my life to treat me the way I wanted to be treated, and to not feel like I was judged, and not feel like I was less than or too different or too odd or anything like that. Just accepting me exactly the way that I am, supporting me, and more than that, it's like we connect on the same stuff. We have the same hobbies. We laugh at all the things. We have a similar sense of humor. Like, I can't even tell you, I thought that none of that was possible, like, for so long. Like, and I think being in this cycle kind of gets you in that mode of like, there is nothing else. Like, I'm just going to focus on what I do have rather than what I don't. I'm just going to stay in these cycles and not really be alone because of all the reasons I kind of said. Like, you know, deeper, that's really how I feel, but also there's a lot of good stuff there. It's like, now I feel like I have like love in my life, and it doesn't feel like it's heavy. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm scared. It doesn't feel like I'm walking on eggshells. It doesn't feel like I'm like downsizing myself in any way whatsoever, right? But these relationships can keep us safe. It reflects our inner negativity, our inner wounds, and really, it's cries for help. It's cries for help inside of like, please deal with me, please. We're really just like pouring salt in our wounds over and over and over again. We're really allowing ourselves to recreate those narratives, right? That were probably created in childhood, or just some sort of other experience, some sort of belief that you created and then perpetuated, right? Oh my gosh, I feel like when I start to filming, my nose is always like, hello, time to drip. But yeah, I have love in my life now that like, it gets deeper. It actually gets deeper, and I don't feel like I have to like perform or like show grand gestures or anything. Like, I'm vulnerable, and these people love me no matter if I'm vulnerable or how I'm vulnerable or what it is. It's like, yes, thank you for sharing. This is, you know, what do you need? Like, how can I hold you? How can I love you? And I just didn't think that was possible, y'all. I really didn't. But the only way it was really possible for me to get out of this cycle of like continuously harming myself, continuously being with people that would harm me and try to control me, try to inflict their wounds onto me, was I had to work on, one, knowing the signs of these people, right? Of knowing the signs of the people who, just what they looked like, you know, how they acted, you know, what sort of flags, right, would be able to be, what can I recognize that showed me, okay, this person is, you know, probably like something in the past that I've dealt with. And I had to really, so what, you know, once I knew the signs, it was like I had to just really get in touch with like how I felt, and when I was with people, and like, you know, when I felt like I was like putting myself less than, when I felt like I was diminishing myself, that was a sign to me that this person is not a person for me in my life. No matter how much fun I had with them, no matter how much I felt like they could add something to my life, if I felt like basically I had to just set a very hard line in the sand. I had to set a hard boundary. I was like, if I start feeling that same way and I know it's not from me, it's from them, right? Then I need to go. I need to get out. Because I'm an adult and I can do what I want. I have that power. And if for some reason I am stuck with someone, because I've been in those places before, you know, I make moves, and eventually life changes and you move out of that situation, right? But I had to dare to leave. I had to dare to be on my own, and I was on my own for years. I was on my own for like many, many, many years, where I didn't have relationships, and I was very sad, and I would cry myself to sleep, and I felt so isolated and alone, because a lot of these people were like my community, right? Like I was trying to create community with people that did not value me. I was trying to create community with people who hurt me over and over and over. And no matter how much I would tell people that I felt hurt, and no matter how much, you know, I would explain to them like, this is what I need and want, these people just were not going to treat me the way I wanted to be treated, for whatever reason, whether they didn't care or they didn't want to, or they told me I was asking for too much, or that I should be treating them better. I had to dare to dream bigger. I had to dare to be on my own and say, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try to leave and see if there's these connections for me that are out there. And for many years, it was just me and my cat. Now I have two, thank goodness. Well, it's an old cat, but it doesn't really matter. It was just me and my cat, because my cat and I actually shared a very similar love language. It was interesting. I'm saying had, like she's not here, she's still alive. But you know, me and her have a very similar love language, so like she kind of showed me in a lot of ways that I could be loved and love someone else and it be like reciprocal. And like of course there's going to be like conflict, because that's what comes in connection, and but until I kind of found more people who I feel like respect me for me, and I feel like actually really add to my life. And like, okay y'all, when you get into a relationship with someone who like you're meant to be with, like the love actually gets deeper. This is like what's crazy to me, is that it's not like this like ecstasy high, like oh my god. It's almost like an appreciation. It's like I appreciate this person more and more as time goes on. I learn more things about them. We talk about new things, talk about old things. It's like it never stops, and I just love them more and more over time. But it's not like high ecstasy. It's not like a high. It just kind of like is, right? And I used to think that was wrong, because I used to think like it needed to be like drama or like high intensity or like me feeling like I was in the world. But I really think that's just a perpetuation of the trauma cycle, or it's a perpetuation of the high adrenaline, right? It's not like, that's what it is. So basically, I was trying to talk about how I got out. So ADHD is a thing. So, and fuck the meds. So, um, I had to figure out what made me happy outside of relationships. I had to figure out, and I'm thinking of making that kind of like one of my next videos is like how to be happy, like without other people, like really just by yourself, because I think that's like something that a lot of people struggle with, but, and I still struggle with sometimes, but I had to figure out what really made me happy with myself so I could not feel like I needed to be with other people, because I felt like I needed to be with other people. I didn't feel like, I felt like if I was on my own, like that was worse than accepting shitty relationships, toxic relationships, which is not true. That's just not true. I feel like after I, and continue to, when it comes up, like work through those seas of like loneliness and despair, I really, was able to kind of see more than that. I was able to kind of push beyond that rather than stay stuck with where I was. Stay stuck in these things that felt comfortable and did give me some good, but also just made me feel really bad. It's very courageous to step away. It's really, because like, there's so many reasons that we want to be with people, biologically, like we're social creatures, and like we put so much emphasis on connection and community and staying with people like in our society that it can almost feel like death and just terrible to leave the circumstances that we are in that very moment and dare to dream of something better, because it might be really hard, right? Me leaving these people or relationships was really hard. It was like I could just not be lonely right now and I could go back to these relationships that I laughed a lot and lived a lot, but at the end of the day it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. So yeah, I followed what felt right. I followed what I needed to follow that would make me most happy, authentic. And now I feel like I'm, I guess, reaping those rewards of joy-filled connection and accepting myself and loving myself even when things are hard. Yeah. I guess that's all for this video. If you liked, please put the like button and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. I talk about all things like mental health on this channel and, empowerment, moving beyond like the inner blockages that we have and into more authentic living and joyful living. So, yeah, if any of that interests you, please subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.